So today I'm going to be VOD reviewing Andilex, JANNIS, and Xsweeze. They're one of the best trios, if not the best trio in Europe right now. They are popping off in scrims and cash cups, and I'm going to be doing a quick VOD review of them. And I'm going to be going over their early game, their mid game, and their late game. This is in a scrim, and yeah, let's just hop right into it. So as you guys can see, they're landing in Sweaty Sands. They land here pretty much every game. And the first thing I would like to point out about where they land in Sweaty Sands and why they land and how they land, basically, is where they land in Sweaty Sands. So if I were to go back to the VOD and if I were to pause it right here, I'm going to quickly head over to the Fortnite map and I'm going to go over to Sweaty Sands right here. And as you guys can see, it's Andilex landing right here, which is the building right next to hotel, and JANNIS lands at hotel, which is right over here, and then Xsweeze lands at these two houses. And what this really just does is it gives the team a bit more map control. It gives them some control over Sweaty. Most of the teams like to all land hotel or all land these two buildings, which is not very good. And I would highly recommend that if you're going to be playing in tournaments, you guys would land here, here, and here, which is a really good spot to be. They basically have control over this entire street of Sweaty Sands, and they can really just do anything. They have control over the parking lot, they have control over the beach. So this team obviously has dropped Sweaty Sands many times, and they're extremely good when it comes to rotating and, landing and stuff. So one thing that this team does really well is they plan how they're going to play out their early game extremely well. So right here, JANNIS is going to fish, which is really important. Fishing is a very important strategy in Season 5, and if he's going to go fishing, then his team knows about it. So he gets floppers, he gets the rift fish that they're going to need for their mid and late game, and in the meantime, Xsweeze and Andilex are going to go farm mats, are going to loot, they're going to try to stack up on those meds and health. This team also has set loot routes for materials and heals, so they're never really short on those two things. And they're very good at looting all of Sweaty Sands very quickly. It's kind of like a 3-layer thing where they all line up at different parts of Sweaty Sands and run through the entire thing and loot all of it very quickly. So as you guys can see here, Andilex is very stacked. He has 6 chugs, 3 bigs, a tactical shotgun, an AR, and a sniper. If you guys don't have a sniper in this meta, it's really not great because a sniper is very useful. Pretty much every team you're going to be fighting against does have a sniper, so you guys will want to get one, and you're going to want to try to get Storm Surge tags with it. This is mainly for stacked lobbies though. If you're in Arena or some of those less stacked lobbies, maybe you guys should rock an extra med or an extra heal or something, But it really depends on what your role is. I'm actually not sure of the role of this trio, but for the most part, JANNIS, Xsweeze, and Duckontop, they all have very set loot routes and very set stuff to get them this type of loot. So heading into the mid game, they're getting ready to rotate out of Sweaty Sands, and they have a bounty, which is always important that you land at a place where you can place a bounty just to find out who's close to you and where you can get Storm Surge tags from. Right now, they're trying to rotate out, they're trying to get those Storm Surge tags, and they're all full health, full shield, they all have max mats, and they all have really good gold in case they need to upgrade later in the game. So they're really doing well, they have a really good early game strategy. And now we're going into the mid game, they're trying to get their Storm Surge tags, and he just got a 105 tag, which is a great thing, because now they're going to be pretty set on Storm Surge for a little while. So right here, they're trying to creep up on a team, they're trying to get in front of them inside of the house, and they're trying to get these Storm Surge tags on them. They really just need them so that they'll be set for Storm Surge later in the game. Right here, this guy doesn't really see them, he's in a car and he's trying to drive past. He doesn't see them, so they do a really good job of getting a quick tag on him and getting a lot of Storm Surge. And this is one good call that Andilex does by saying run away after they get the Storm Surge tags, because they're not really looking for a fight, they're just looking to be set for the end game. So now when Storm Surge pops up, they already have a lot of tags. They have 198 Storm Surge tags, and right now they're getting shot at by a team, but they're not going to be pushed by this team because they are on the dead side of zone. So right here, Andilex is leading the trio onto the dead side of zone, which is really important because in this endgame, it's going to be crucial that you guys are away from everybody because this is one of the most congested parts of the map, and if you get caught in a bad spot, you will die very quickly. Andilex also calls for a rotate behind the mountain so that no teams can really see them, which is really important. It's a really good rotate that not very many IGLs know about. And also, I would like to point out one thing. Andilex is kind of above the entire trio here, which is very good. As you guys can see, JANNIS is chilling right here, Xsweeze is down here, and JANNIS is just vibing up top, which is really good because JANNIS has a view. Andilex has a view on the entire field, and he can see who's looking at JANNIS and Xsweeze. It's a really good view. It's a really good place to be, especially when you're playing like this in a trio. And a lot of trios don't really recognize that when you're going to be playing like this in mid-game, trying to look out on the vast landscape in front of you, one of your members is going to need to be giving callouts on where enemies are and how they can see you. So right here, Andilex is trying to play sniper. He's basically trying to play as like the head attacker for the team because he has a sniper, and if any of members of the team get shot at, he can easily get snipes for the team. And it's really good that he's applying pressure onto the bridge because right now, the teams to the south of them aren't really going to be doing too much. So they rotate around this little hill and they hug the hill in order to stay away from all those snipers on the south side, and they keep their eyes constantly on the east side of zone, not near the bridge where all of those snipers are. And they keep looking at them, and they're like making sure to basically have that confidence and not be sniped by them. So right there, Andilex gets a really good tag. This is just really setting in stone their storm surge for later in the game, and they're also being very aware of what's around them. Awareness is one of the biggest issues I see with competitive players nowadays, and they're very aware of where every team is, and even though JANNIS does get sniped, it was just an unlucky snipe that a kid predicted on him. So if you guys listen to their comms, you guys will realize that they're consistently staying calm and being quiet. They're not trying to overwhelm the entire team with a crazy comm. They're trying to really make sure that the entire team knows what's happening in a short and concise comm. It's also really important that they look at rifts here. Basically, if you look at rifts, then your chance of getting storm surge tags increases a lot, so it's very smart of them to look at this rift. Alright, so right now what they're basically doing is they're looking for tags on kids over here and over there sometimes in this direction, but what they're trying to do right now is they're trying to gain a little bit of map control. Map control is basically when you tag kids around you so that they know you're there and you have control of the map. Because you've damaged the kids know that they're not able to necessarily fight you because you have hit them for a little bit and they know that you're actually not a bad player and you know what you're kind of doing in a weird way, but it's kind of a whole mental thing. So they're basically trying to control the map around them. And as you guys can see on the map, they have positioned on the edge of the 5th zone, which is the zone right before half and half. And if zone pulls right here, then they're pretty much good for the rest of the end game because they're going to be able to save their materials and not need to rotate. So getting into the half and half zone, you guys can see that they did not get the half and half zone. It pulled across zone. So what they're going to be trying to do is they're going to try to rotate there with using as little mats as possible. And that's really important. And right here, they're rushing a kid. I think they want to try and get a refresh, and they're going to want to try to get that player's mats and siphon in order to try and win. So they obviously get the kill, which is really, really good. And they're pretty good on mats and storm surge and everything. So I'm going to go back real quick because I saw Andilex do a pretty good move that I haven't seen too many teams do. What he does right here is he headshot snipes the kid in order to get the most storm surge for the team. That's really important. If you guys get a headshot snipe, you guys will see his storm surge flies up. It goes from 210 and then it goes all the way up to 473, which is really, really good. He got a big headshot snipe on the kid, which gives the team the most storm surge they can get. So this person's teammates rock up, and that's not great for the team, obviously. They're obviously going to take a fair amount of damage. JANNIS has already taken all of his shield off, and what happens here is Andilex and Xsweeze start to try and fight this guy, and they try to get the win on him in order to get a bunch of storm surge and just a general refresh. Right here, another team obviously comes up on them and tries to attack, and Xsweeze is holding the wall, as you guys can see right here, while Andilex is rezzing JANNIS. So yeah, it's really important that your team knows what they're doing in these situations, and this is what you guys are seeing right here. So now this entire team is very stacked. They have floppers, they have chug splashes, they have max ammo, they have max mats, they have a bunch of rotation, they have a rift fish if you guys didn't know. This team is most likely going to win the game if they play this right. And they obviously do go on to win the game, but what they do from now until then is very important. And this next rotate you guys will see is very, very, very crucial for their win. So right here what Andilex is doing, he's basically rotating the team around in order to not waste mats and to not waste any mobility, and this is a great rotate. Nobody's really on this side of zone. I will show you guys the side of zone that they're on right now and how they rotate this. So right now, these guys were near the supply drop, basically right where this yellow X in the top right corner is, and they're trying to rotate around to get into zone in this yellow arrow. If they can get over here, they basically win the game. If they can get even under their bridge in this general vicinity, they're pretty much going to win the game because they have a really good spot to rotate to the first moving zone with. So Andilex is making a great choice here, and he's also making sure that he gives callouts on who's looking at them, and JANNIS and Duckontop are behind, and they're just, they're looking around for tags and just making sure that they're not going to die. So this is a really good rotate, really solid, and I'm very happy that he's using wood here. I see a lot of teams use hard mats in this situation. He obviously is using hard mats now so that they don't get shot in the head, but he sees this metal and he grabs it just to be safe, and he knows that it's only 5, but it was still worth it to use these hard mats just to, solidify their position on this low ground. So as you guys can see right here, zone does not pull to them. It actually pulls the farthest it can possibly pull from them. But basically right here, they should probably plan to rift fish, and they eventually do. They have one rift fish, and they do hear other teams that might also have a rift fish, so they try to get into those rifts. But basically what happens here, Andilex leads the team into this small tunnel, and they're trying to kind of go deeper to find out where teams around them are and if there's any free rift fish that they can take. So right here, Andilex is basically leading them through all of the rubble that's beneath the bridge, and this is a great rotate. It is a bit risky, I would say, but they want to try to get closer to the rifts near them. And then an enemy team just rifted, but now they rift in order to get to the next circle. They do it very quickly, which I would not have done, but personally I think this is a fine rotate. I think they have a really good chance at taking height and just generally winning the game. So this is very smart of them to stay in the air. It's really smart when you stay in the air, especially after your rift. They're not the highest in the air, but they're very close. And a bunch of the kids below them are going to be pretty scuffed when they land. The people are going to be focusing on all of the kids that land first and not the kids that land last. And right here, they say that they're not going to go for height, but a good event happens where they say that they're going to go for height. Basically, what happens here is that nobody's on height specifically. On height, there's a fight happening, so they decide they're going to land on height. So they land on height here, they claim it very quickly, and basically they have it, and there's nothing really any other team can do. And right here, they're going to be looking for the rifters. They want to kind of solidify their position on height, so they focus on the rifters, and they focus on stuff in the air so that they can really solidify that position. They all have mats, and they do plan ahead for their rotations, and they kind of look for kids who are rifting and shockwaving so that they can get those tags and they can get those kills that they need to get points. If this was a real tournament, then they would get a lot of elimination points. So as you guys can see here, Andilex and Xsweeze are changing positions on height. They're really just changing positions. One of them's playing ultimate height at one point. The other one's playing ultimate height at another point. And all of these three players are kind of playing all three roles. They're trying to basically swap between Fragger, IGL, and support player. And they're getting a bunch of kills in the air, which is very good. As you guys can see here, they're getting a bunch of free loot from the sky, which is really useful. And they're also continuously looking up just in case anybody's rifting and they don't hear it so that nobody can steal height from them. So what Andilex is doing right here, he screams block them, which is really good. He wants to try to block them off of taking height just in case they land lower and they try to build up. This is a really good strategy, and basically they're on essential sky base right now. Perfect. So yeah, they're basically on a sky base. They're really high up so that nobody can really shockwave them without the entire team going on the person who's shockwaving, and nobody's really rifting. All of the rift fish for the most part have been used in this game. There might be one or two more, but as you guys can see, there's 19 people in the last zone of the day. Pulls over here, so I'm gonna ping it on this map up here. If you guys can't see it, that's where the last zone goes. And Andilex and JANNIS and Xsweeze all know that they have to rotate there in order to win the game. So obviously another rift does pop up, and there's a lot of kids in it, so they're making sure that none of those kids are going to be taking height by, you know, tagging them, kind of keep them off of their layer. And this is also a really important situation where your aim needs to be very good, because you want to make sure that these kids aren't going to be landing on you, and they get really good tags on these kids, so they don't really need to worry about, you know, any of them, you know, landing on height. So right here, Andilex drops the chug splashes to Xsweeze in order to, you know, play for heal off, just in case Xsweeze wants to play for heal off. I would always recommend that you plan ahead for heal off if you can, because oftentimes in this meta it's going to be heal off. So I would highly recommend you do that. Right here, when somebody shockwaves up, he calls it out, and then the entire team looks at him, which is very good. And then Andilex drops down for kills with JANNIS, and they get a couple of kills, which is really useful. And then they do realize that the last player alive, is going to be shockwaving, which is not great, but, you know, it's whatever. It's okay. And, yeah, for the most part, this player is stuck in zone, and he can't really do anything, and they end up winning the game. So yeah, that was a very solid win from Andilex, JANNIS, and Xsweeze. They got pretty lucky with zone, but that doesn't really have to play a role with it. They landed a pretty good drop spot, which is Sweaty Sands. They master that. In the early game, they plan out their rotates, they fish, which is really useful. In the mid game, they rotate on dead side of zone, and they play snipers and get storm surge tags in that way. And then in late game, they go for height after using a rift fish that they get from fishing in Sweaty Sands, and then they play a very smart height during endgame. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. It was a bit of a more like edited VOD review, and I hope you guys really did like it. If you guys did like it, please leave a comment down below letting me know. And also, I would like to let you guys know, if you guys are interested in checking out this trio, please go to Andilex, JANNIS, or Xsweeze's YouTube channel. They're all really good players. These guys played second in the last trio FNCS, and I'm guaranteeing that they're going to win this next one in EU if they play together and they keep playing like they are. So yeah, that's about it for this video, guys. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys.